everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for Ghostbusters Afterlife, which according to the projections provided by Box Office Pro, are actually dropping compared to what they were initially just about a week or two ago. Don't know exactly what's going on here. I personally think that the movie's going to overperform in various markets, especially domestically. But again, that's just more speculation on my part. Just this overall sense and feeling that I'm getting, the sense of excitement that I'm getting from people who have not been excited for movies for a very long time. And I'm kind of just, keeping my ear to the ground on that and trying to figure out exactly what is that actually going to translate into. Is it going to be enough to be able to translate into box office success? Again, I personally think it will, but again, we'll have to, of course, wait and see until the actual numbers themselves come out, because pre-sales, remember, can always only tell us so much before the day of people, right? The people that show up on the day to actually see the film really is a metric that's very hard sometimes to predict. Before we go any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching on Odyssey, smash the rumble button if you're watching over there, and it really does mean a lot. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So as you can see, Ghostbusters Afterlife has actually dropped about 8% in its projections, according to Box Office Pro, which is expected now to make $40 to $60 million in its opening weekend, with a total amount of being $115 to $175 million domestically by the end of its run. So, I personally am going to be watching this very closely. I already have my ticket to go see this film in IMAX tomorrow. Very excited about that prospect. Haven't been excited for a film in a very long time, though this is definitely not one of the more anticipated films for me just personally. There's other films that I think I care a little bit more to see over the past couple of years. It's still one that, as time has gone, I know, River, I'm excited too. I know, my dogs are in the background fighting, and I apologize. But I think that this is a film that, at the very least, I've had some genuine interest in, right? That I think that has been able to capture the minds and hearts of enough people, not just fans of the franchise, but just people in general to say, oh, this actually just looks like a fun movie. You got Paul Rudd in there as a star. You've got, obviously, one of the trailers already kind of revealed this a little bit, right? You have some of the former members, at least one of the former members, coming back. And obviously, if you look to some of the interviews and look to some of the news, you find it just a little bit more. And I'm just going to leave it at that, because some people, again, want to go in completely blind to this film. But basically, it looks like this movie is going to try and capture nostalgia, but it's going to do so seemingly in the right way, where it's not just capturing nostalgia, but it's paying respect to nostalgia. And for me, as long as they're not going to try and take this and then run with it with a brand new trilogy of movies, right? Try to just complete cash grab opportunity, just by basically try and squeeze as much life out of it as possible, then I'm okay with that typically, right? I'm okay with them adapting and readapting different stories, for new generations and new eras. It just has to be good, right? It just has to be a good story. And apparently that is one of the faults of this movie is, according to some early reviews, the story is not very strong. That being said, I do find it interesting that some people are giving this movie relatively negative reviews, where they gave films like Ghostbusters 2016 more positive reviews. So kind of indicates a little bit maybe that there might be some salt left over there to try and nitpick at this movie and try and tear down this movie a little bit, at least amongst the critics, to try and make sure that it does not beat a film like Ghostbusters 2016 in the critics' ratings, though I'm pretty much sure at this point the audience ratings are going to be high, because if we know anything, general audiences, when it comes to fun, nostalgic films, typically are very much fond of movies like that. So again, Ghostbusters Afterlife, right now the projections are looking not that great. Domestically, 115, 175 million. We'll see exactly what it is able to do in the international marketplace. And as we know, sometimes the international marketplace can be the make or break. It's been what I've been talking about with Eternals, right? Everyone and their mother seems to be saying, Eternals is going to flop, Eternals is going to flop. It is flopping domestically. There's no question about that. It just dropped another 76% on this past Monday. And in fact, I'm going to show that number in just a second. But internationally is where that film is performing a lot more strongly. and could actually reach a break-even point, or at least get close to a break-even point because of that. The only thing that could probably be in its way and cause a hiccup is going to be Ghostbusters Afterlife. Obviously, we also have Encanto coming out, but that's going to be available on, I believe it's going to be available on Disney+. Again, $20 to $35 million release there. At the very least, that's a very low number for a Walt Disney film, and that's the reason why I suspect that it has to be released on Disney+, if that's the numbers that they're going with. House of Gucci coming out also, not expected to do very well. Again, seemingly another film by Ridley Scott that's just not going to make any money, I guess. But basically, the point is that you got tons of films that are coming out over the next several weeks that are going to cause international competition for a film like Eternals. And that is, I think, going to be the Achilles heel of that movie, is if right now its success in the international marketplace is disrupted by a Ghostbusters or by an Encanto or by anything else, that is going to be a big problem for the film. Now, we already do have some early reviews coming out for this film, and as you can see, according to Metacritic, again, I could use Rotten Tomatoes, but, Rotten Tomatoes sucks. As you can see, right now, there's 9 positive, 9 mixed, and 3 negative scores, with right now the raw score being around a 52 on Metacritic. And again, it's just interesting to me that this movie is getting these kinds of reactions, whereas I just remember very different reactions for Ghostbusters 2016, which was a terrible movie. But as you can see, IGN Empire Film getting Total Film giving it positive reviews. Places like Time Out, The Washington Post, Chicago Times, The Guardian giving it lower reviews there. So I think that is something that is, again, at least worth talking about and worth mentioning. In fact, just because I am a little bit interested, let me see if I can find what the equivalent would have been for Ghostbusters in 2016, as of course this is this would be the best way to be able to really kind of compare the two. Let me see if I can get the actual movie. Okay, this is what happens sometimes when you do it live. You do it live, doing it live, everybody. All right. So, Ghostbusters 2016. So, as you can see, audience score, it was terrible, but that critic rating was a 60. So, as you can see, right now, Ghostbusters 2016 has a better rating than the current one. This is because it had 30 positive reviews and only 3 negatives. So, keep in mind, the only thing that really kept this movie down was that it had a decent helping of mixed reviews, but it only had 3 negative reviews. So right now, as of today, according to Metacritic, the new Ghostbusters has as many negative reviews as the entirety of the run of Ghostbusters 2016. Now, of course, who's the ones that are putting this at top? HitFix, Telegraph, Charlotte Observer, Real Views, right? So again, we can see that there's seemingly a theme here going on. Also, interestingly enough, look at all of those negative scores for this movie, because again, that film was absolutely garbage and absolutely terrible. So again, that's going to be a number that I'm going to be looking to and paying attention to, because I honestly think that their mindset is, hey, we want to drive this film down so at the very least it is not as high as Ghostbusters 2016, because for some reason there are people that still want to come out to defend that film, and I just don't quite understand why that is the case. So now going into some of the box office, and again, as I said before, why I think Eternals is, because some people have been challenging, saying, what do you mean it's flopping domestically? I mean what I mean, right? It dropped 76% from its Sunday, and as you can see, $1.7 million in its second Monday release, compared to $3 million from Black Widow and $2.4 million from Shang-Chi. So as you can see, this movie is dropping off like a huge weight domestically, and will continue to do so, and it's going to be lucky if it gets anywhere close to the number that Black Widow was able to produce by the end of its run, just talking about the domestic market. The one thing that it has going for it is right now, 2 weeks in, it's at $148.3 million, which means it's going to get pretty close internationally to where the other 2 films were able to end their runs at. And so it's because of that trend, it's because of the movement in that direction that we could see this film reach the point where it could make the $500 million mark to break even, or at the very least, it could get close enough to be where it only loses a very small amount of money and still be a box office failure, but be able to lose just a little bit to try and, again, justify it through other financial dealings, other financial tax breaks, etc. So again, if it gets that close to it, could potentially still be made up for in that marketplace. So again, I just wanted to point that out, that Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to, of course, cause this number to fall even more so, because more people are going to be interested in that film. And that's why I do think, honestly, that this movie is just going to perform a lot better than what's going on here. I would not be surprised, because they do always update this towards Thursday or Friday. especially after we have those Thursday night premiere numbers in. I do honestly think that this is a movie that is going to probably have a higher projection here. So I don't be surprised if the projection comes in at over $60 million of what they expect the film to make this weekend, and not in the average range, right? So typically in a movie like this, you would say, oh yeah, probably going to be $50 to $55 million domestic opening. I would not be surprised if this film opens up over $60 million domestically, and of course has a decent run internationally as well. So of course we'll have to wait and see until we have actual raw data in front of us to talk about those numbers a little bit more. But what are your thoughts about this? Do you think Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to overperform domestically, especially in comparison to other films like Eternals? Also, as well, we of course last night on the Welcome to Asgard podcast talked about some of the Black Friday deals going on right now, and just wanted to pull that up again. So right now, as of today, just came up, if you are a fan of the Sherlock series right now, the Blu-ray set, $40, 60% off. It's a pretty good deal. But of course, the big news is, of course, with Black Friday, a lot of these 4K deals, insane 4K deals going on right now. Green Knight, I'm a big fan of that film, so $10 for that. You also have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, a classic film, for $10 on 4K. You have Gattaca for $10 on 4K. That's probably the number one buy for me, because it is just a film that every year becomes more and more a possibility of our future, and it's, again, just amazing just how much it got right. Nobody, one of my favorite films, if not my favorite film of this year, $10. V for Vendetta, again, another film that's kind of relevant to our time, $10. Last Action Hero, a fantastically underrated Schwarzenegger film, $10 on 4K. Speaking of Ghostbusters, you can get the OG Ghostbusters for $10 on 4K, $300 for 4K. Snatch on 4K for 10. Again, tons of films on 4K, some new, some older, but a lot of really great deals going on right now. And of course, you've got some Blu-ray sales going on too, but this is typically $10, maybe $8 is the lowest you'll ever get on a 4K title at this point in time. So might be good to jump on these if any of these films stick out to you. One I mentioned last night, if you don't already own these films, is the Alfred Hitchcock Collection, $35. It's 50% off its retail price. You get 4 Hitchcock films on 4K for $35, under $10 then per movie. That's a pretty darn good deal. But anyway, what are your thoughts about that and anything else I mentioned? Mention that in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, loud that fire button, and smash the rumble button. It really does mean a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my November Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals members. Starting first off with Patreon, Andrew Hoyle, animation commentator, Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Dolores Ed, Dion, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob the Juice, JC, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ullen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. And a shout out to my Subscribestar members, UAB, Mad Dog, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand 4, John B, Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J, Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, and J Rod, the Beer Guru, and of course, ZK Man. Thank you very much for supporting me over there. And to my 3 supporters over on locals.com, Kara Tharp, Bifford a Hobbit, and Robert Barnes. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and every video I do on the channel, check out that top link in the description below to find out how to sign up to the various levels that exist, including the most basic level where you get a shout out, the secondary level, the Army of Asgard, where you get that, plus access to a giveaways exclusive server where I give away things like 4Ks and Blu-rays and digital codes. all kinds of stuff, a lot of fun. You then also have the Keeper of the Bifrost level where you get all that stuff, plus access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. You get to ask us questions, and you get also access to that and the entire library of podcast episodes that we have done. And then there is, of course, the Chosen of Valhalla level, where not only do you get all of that, but also in your first month, you get a t-shirt of your choice and sent to you anywhere in the world. Of course, just let me know your size and the color option that you want. It'll be sent to you that first month. And also, you get to be featured on the once a month Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we have a ton of fun talking about movies and projects and all kinds of stuff. Pretty much anything that the Chosen wants to talk about is on the table. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out that top link. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.